You've got to be kidding me. You come from a single-parent household. You're definitely unfit to marry a banker's son.
What?
When my sister and her boyfriend went to visit his parents' house, they were met with these shocking words. As soon as we mentioned being from a single-parent family, the previously welcoming atmosphere changed dramatically. When I explained that I only had a high school diploma, they looked down on us, deeming us unworthy of their banker lineage.
If my dad and mom oppose it, then the marriage is off.
Incredibly, my sister's fiancé sided with his parents instead of her. I coldly dismissed his parents, who judged us by our education and background. Are you really okay with this? I'll make them regret looking down on my family. My name is Michael Johnson. My father passed away due to illness when I was in middle school, and I was raised in a single-parent family. My mom ran a diner, working from dawn till dusk.
Michael, I've left some food in the fridge. Take care of Sarah, will you?
Don't worry, Mom, have a good day. I have a sister, Sarah, who is 10 years younger than me, and it became my job to look after her in place of our father. To support my mom, I started doing household chores after school. Whenever I stayed home to take care of things instead of hanging out with friends, my mom always seemed apologetic.
I'm sorry, Michael. You probably want to hang out with your friends.
It's okay. I hang out with them at school. Besides, Sarah enjoys the meals I cook. I felt a sense of accomplishment when my mom and sister enjoyed the meals I prepared.
I'm sorry for always making you two feel lonely.
We're fine because we have each other. I don't feel lonely because I have my sister. She's always so cheerful, and I might even say I do the chores just for her smile. She looks up to me like a father, and she's very attached to me.
Michael, I want to eat your burgers again.
Again, didn't we just have that recently?
But your burgers are so tasty.
With just one request from her, dinner is easily decided. She's really my driving force. I would do anything to make my sister happy.
You really spoil your sister, don't you?
Of course, she's my sister. Lately, I've been into making homemade lunches. Although we can't live luxuriously on my mom's earnings alone, I make sure the lunch I pack for my sister looks lavish and varied, even if it's cheap. It's all to ensure she doesn't get ridiculed at school for being poor. For this reason, I'm also working hard in my studies and sports for the future. When I show my family my test scores, both my mom and sister are thrilled.
Michael, you're my pride and joy.
I can't help but grin at my sister's words. I do my best in living every day to always be her pride. Even if I can't play with friends after school, I want to do everything I can for my family. I'm thinking about dropping out of high school to work.
What are you saying? You should at least finish college.
I wanted to ease the burden on my mom and sister, so I considered working after high school, but my mom opposed it. It wouldn't be easy to work with just a high school education background, but I wanted to help with the finances.
Leave the money matters to Mom.
At her insistence, I went on to high school. However, I pleaded with my teacher and started supporting the family with a part-time job. Working on weekdays meant my sister would be alone at night, so I spent my weekends working instead of hanging out with friends. After graduating high school, I started working at a company. Since I began working, my mom could relax a bit, and we could manage without her being overworked.
It's been a while since we've had a meal together as a family. I'll cook something special today.
Mom, let me help you. Being able to have meals together made my sister happy.
Everything tastes better when we eat together.
Yes, I'm happy we can all eat together too.
Seeing my sister happy made both my mom and me happy. We both worked for my sister's sake.
You don't need to contribute so much money at home. Save some for your future.
It's okay. I want to earn for Sarah too. With my earnings added, our living situation became more comfortable. Because of this, we could easily afford my sister's further education. She was an excellent student and had enrolled in a prestigious high school.
I'll study hard too, so I won't be outdone by you, Michael.
Even as she grew up, I was happy to still be her proud brother.
I want to help out at Mom's Diner after I graduate from high school.
As graduation approached, my sister expressed her desire to help at our mother's diner. Maybe it was because I started working right after high school. Things are different now than in my time. Don't worry about money. You should go to college.
But I want to help you and Mom.
Her thinking was just like mine back then, and it brought a smile to my face. I wanted her to have the education I never got. You really want to study, don't you? Don't worry, leave the rest to us.
Thank you, Michael. I'll study hard.
My sister was grateful and studied fiercely. Her efforts paid off, and she was admitted to the National University. That's my sister.
It's all thanks to you, Michael.
We all celebrated her admission as a family.
This time, I'll definitely help out at Mom's Diner.
Can you manage studying while helping out?
Absolutely. You also worked part-time while studying, didn't you?
With that said, I couldn't stop her. True to her word, my sister started helping out at Mom's Diner while excelling in her university studies. She would welcome customers, and she became the star of the diner.
Sarah, how's your studying going?
No worries. I always study at night.
Mom was relieved to have her help, and they both seemed to enjoy working together. One day, my sister excitedly reported to me,
Michael, I've got a boyfriend.
"A boyfriend?" He's 3 years older than her, a regular at the diner, and works at a major bank. As a family, we should be happy, but as a brother, I felt mixed emotions.
His name is Steve Williams. He's really a great guy.
Steve seemed to treat my sister well, and she looked very happy talking about him. They spent their weekends together, and she always came back looking joyful. Though I felt lonely with less time spent with my sister, I was prepared for her independence if she was happy. Eventually, she said she would introduce her boyfriend to me. Naturally, the meeting place was our Mom's Diner. As I waited at the diner for my sister and Steve, Mom prepared some coffee.
No need to be so nervous.
But it's her boyfriend. As someone who raised my sister almost like a father, I had mixed feelings. Sitting anxiously alone in the diner, my sister arrived. There was an unfamiliar man with her.
Michael, this is Steve Williams.
Nice to meet you. I'm Steve Williams.
Hi, I'm Michael, her brother. Steve seemed like a kind man. I managed a smile, though it felt a bit forced, as we shook hands. He was a good guy, which reassured me. I thought he might take good care of my sister. Please take care of my sister.
Yes.
Steve replied with a determined look in his eyes. My sister graduated from college and started working at the diner, following in our mother's footsteps, without seeking employment elsewhere. Even while working, Steve often visited the diner. Seeing Steve and my sister happily chatting during breaks made me feel a bit lonely. At times like these, my mom would gently encourage me.
Michael, Mom, I have something to tell you.
After a while, my sister happily started talking to me. She was joyfully stroking her belly, and I understood right away.
I'm pregnant with Steve's child.
Oh my, congratulations.
It seemed she hadn't told Steve yet and looked a bit nervous. But there was no way we would object to the happy news.
I'll tell Steve about it on our date today.
She said that and then left. Mom looked delighted, and I deeply felt the fact that my sister was going to be a mother.
Look. Steve proposed to me.
My sister happily showed off the fancy engagement ring on her left hand. Although I was worried about her pregnancy, I was moved to tears of joy hearing that my sister was getting married. Sarah getting married. That's wonderful.
You're being dramatic, Michael. I'll come to visit now and then, and I'll still work at the diner, even after I'm married.
It felt lonely thinking about her moving out, but Steve's family was wealthy, so I believed my sister and her child would be happy. Surely, Mom would be thrilled that her daughter was marrying into a well-off family.
I'll take Mom and go to meet Steve's family.
That's good. I'm sure it will be fine. My sister looked nervous. Mom also seemed a bit anxious. But on the day we were supposed to visit, Mom fell ill.
Mom, it's okay. Don't push yourself.
Not going on the day would be rude.
Then, I'll go. I ended up going, slipping into an unfamiliar suit. Steve's father is a top banker, so their home was a mansion. Both my sister and I were amazed by the grandeur we had never seen before. When we rang the doorbell, a kind-looking woman opened the door.
Welcome, Sarah. We've been expecting you.
Thank you. We're honored to be here.
My sister looked tense, her face tight with nerves. I also felt the pressure to make a good impression so as not to embarrass her.
I'm glad you could come. Please, have a seat.
Steve's parents welcomed us warmly. I shook hands with them and greeted them sincerely. Please take good care of my sister.
Now, no need to be so formal.
Then casual conversation began, and we chatted in a relaxed atmosphere. The friendly atmosphere put me at ease.
Never thought I'd be having grandchildren. This is delightful.
I'm going to be a grandpa.
Steve's parents were also happy about having a grandchild, and my sister seemed a bit relieved. But when the conversation turned to our family, their demeanor changed.
It's unfortunate you parents couldn't come today. What do they do for a living?
My father passed away when I was young, and my mother runs a diner.
A single-parent household.
Steve's mother's tone dropped, clearly displeased. My sister flinched at the change, her shoulders tensing.
No way. A single-parent household. That's deceptive. You're unsuitable to marry a banker's son.
What?
My sister's voice trembled, perhaps out of fear, after hearing her cold remark.
Sarah, you graduated from the National University, right? So did your brother graduate from there as well?
No, I started working after high school to support the family.
Just high school, not having a college degree, and from a single-parent home in this day and age. That's not fitting for a banker's family.
The once friendly atmosphere was gone. Steve's mother glared at us coldly.
It doesn't matter. I want to marry Sarah regardless of her family background.
Steve spoke up against his parents' opposition, having been silent until then. Hearing his voice, my sister felt hopeful.
You should listen to your parents. This affects your future too.
Yo, with a bad family background, who knows if there's some ulterior motive? We'd be in trouble if they start asking for money later.
Steve looked displeased and sighed.
If my parents are against it, I can't go through with the marriage.
No. Why?
My sister, shocked by Steve's words, covered her mouth with her hands. Her shoulders were shaking, and she looked like she was about to cry.
You probably can't afford it, so we'll pay, but do abort the pregnancy.
My sister's tears flowed freely. Seeing her cry, I couldn't stay silent. A person's worth isn't determined by their upbringing or education. Can't you please accept their marriage?
Poor people always try to cozy up to the wealthy. Just give it up already.
I tried to plead for my sister's sake, but she shook her head slightly.
Let's just go.
Since that was her wish, I nudged my sister forward, turning our backs to Steve and his parents. Are you really okay with this?
It's settled. Just leave.
Fuming with anger at the family who hurt my sister, I took her home.
I want to have the baby.
But, are you sure? But yes, the child is innocent. My sister gave up on the marriage, but couldn't give up on her child. I had resolved to act as a parent and raise the child with my family. When we discussed it with our mother, she was ready to confront them angrily, but I stopped her, knowing it would be pointless. It was clear that marrying into that family would only make my sister miserable. A few days later, my sister's phone rang. Seeing the name on the display, she looked sad. She braced herself and answered the call.
What's up? Do you need something?
My dad is being transferred to a subsidiary.
Why are you telling me this? I don't get it.
It's because of you, you know. This all happened suddenly after the marriage was called off.
Steve was upset, and my sister sighed.
I haven't done anything.
Then, who has?
Steve's voice weakened at my sister's response.
Just that my brother was angry, saying he didn't want to deal with a bank that discriminates based on education and background.
I had graduated from high school and started an IT company. Though it began small, it now had 300 employees and was successful. Steve's father's bank was our main bank. We have had significant transactions through the bank. I knew the bank's executive and had discussed stopping our transactions. Naturally, the executive, wanting to continue the business, asked me why. Our family was deeply hurt by an employee of your company, and we don't want to do business with such a place. The executive, upon learning the situation, apologized and furiously demoted Steve's father.
Seriously?
That's why I want nothing more to do with your family.
Sarah spoke coldly and then hung up the phone abruptly. Her smartphone kept ringing with incoming calls, but she ignored them all. She looked relieved.
I'm so sorry about what happened. I'll apologize as many times as necessary.
Later, Steve's father also contacted me to apologize. Of course, even with the apology, I had no intention of forgiving them.
I'll tell Steve to accept the marriage. So won't you talk to the executive to cancel my demotion?
Incredibly, he was willing to approve the marriage for his own career advancement. It shows how detrimental a demotion to a subsidiary can be for a banker.
Please, Michael, I promise I'll take care of Sarah for the rest of my life.
After Steve also apologized, I sighed and looked at my sister. What do you think? They say they'll approve the marriage.
Michael, let me talk.
Sarah was visibly angry. She snatched the phone from me and yelled at Steve.
I don't want to marry a man as terrible as you. I will raise this child on my own.
What?
Taking the phone from my sister, I spoke coldly. Marrying into such a family would make my sister and her child miserable. Please tell your father to do his best at the subsidiary bank. It seemed like Steve and his family were saying something, but I hung up unilaterally. Then I told my sister to block their calls, and we were freed from that family. Later, Steve's father was demoted. He had to sell the house he bought on a mortgage and moved to live modestly at the subsidiary. Steve, working in the same group, apparently lost his job due to the fallout. Now, his job hunting, rumored to be visiting the employment office. Months later, my sister safely gave birth to her child. Our home became lively with 4 people.
Michael, I'm going to make some milk. Hold the baby for a bit.
Sure, leave it to me. I doted on my sister's fatherless child as if it was my own. My experience in taking care of my sister helped, and I think I'm the best at putting the child to sleep in our family. Eventually, my sister got a new boyfriend from the diner's regulars and married him. Her baby was very fond of its new father. You treated his children equally and kindly, even after they had their own child together. I felt a bit lonely realizing my sister's child now had a real father. But children are adorable, and I always want to cherish them.
Now, it's your turn, Michael.
Me, my turn.
I'll introduce you to a girl.
After that, thanks to Sarah's introduction, I met a beautiful woman and we got married. We were blessed with children, and I have been living happily.
Our house is so lively with all these grandchildren. I'm so happy.
My mother also seemed very happy with many grandchildren around. Our kids are close in age and get along well, always playing together. My wife and sister are also close, and when the family gathers, we always have a good time. Remember, don't judge people based on being from a single-parent home or their education.
Is there something different about that?
Nothing's different, but some people make judgments based on these things.
That's weird. We're all the same, right?
Being from a single-parent home doesn't make a family any different. Even with a lower education level, people can work hard and succeed. We should never judge people by appearances. My children understand this and treat everyone equally. I am relieved that they can get along with anyone. Among the children who come to our house are those from single-father households, and sometimes I see my wife preparing extra food for them to take home.
When times are tough, we're all in this together.
Encased in my wife's carefree smile, I felt enveloped in happiness. We will continue to live supporting each other as a family,